$250,000 a year, and the first tax that he imposed was on cigarettes. So I guess only people that make $250,000 a year smoke cigarettes. He promised the health care debate would be on C-SPAN so that people could see and it wouldn't be done behind closed doors. He promised that the health care bill would save money, and then just a few months ago said, well, no one really believed that adding 30 million new people was going to bring down the cost. He said if you like your doctor, you'll be able to keep it under his health care plan. Nobody believes that, and it's not true. He said that all bills would be on the internet for 5 days so that the public could see what they were before they were signed into law. That didn't happen. He said the stimulus bill would have no earmarks. He said the stimulus would create shovel-ready jobs. Then months later he said he didn't know what shovel-ready jobs were. He said he would veto any bill with earmarks, but the stimulus bill and almost every bill he's signed since have earmarks. He said he would focus like a laser on jobs. How's that laser working out? For the Republicans, their part, they're not much better. They ran in the 2010 election saying that if they got elected, they would cut $100 billion from the year that we're in, budget. Once they got elected, they said, well, we're going to take that down. It's about half a year, so we're going to go for $63 billion. They negotiated hard to get a deal last week for $38 billion. Then we find out a couple of days ago that the CBO scores it, and they're really only cutting $350 million. Not exactly real, honest, and ethical government. We say in our mission statement that through our outreach and rallies, we'll show people they're not alone in their frustrations about the bad policies coming out of their government. But rallies alone will not change things. The parties win because they control a structure on each side that allows them to field, run, support, and elect candidates. And that is why we are in the situation that we're in. Because the parties control that structure, we cannot get people who really believe what we believe to get into power. And when we do, such as the Tea Party helping the freshman congressman from District 3 in South Jersey, John Runyon, his first vote on this budget this week, he went along with the party hierarchy and voted to pass it. The people need their own structure, the Tea Party structure, not necessarily a separate party, but a separate structure that can field, run, support, and elect candidates that believe as we believe. We can no longer rely on the two main parties to get us where we want to go. People say you must compromise. But if I'm trying to get from here to that tent, and I compromise just a little bit more, I'm going to miss that tent completely. And I'm only off by a couple of degrees from where I started. And the longer I stay on that path, the further away I get from my goal. And that's what has happened to this country since the early 1900s. Today, there's another rally going on, actually a convention, the Battle for Trenton, a convention in South Jersey, where they're fielding Tea Party vetted candidates. Each of the candidates was vetted by their local Tea Party groups. There are 21 Tea Party vetted candidates throughout various districts of New Jersey. District 1, District 3, District 5, District 15, District 17, District 23, 22, 27, 28, 34, 36, 38, and 40. Look up the Battle for Trenton. You can get it through our link at www.themorristownteaparty.com. You can link over to it. You'll see who those candidates are, and you can get involved that way. How do we start? How do we change? Change means we have to change ourselves. We have to get out of our comfort zones. What do you do? In order to make political change, you have to either be a candidate, an activist, or support candidates and activists with your funds. Those are really the only three things that you can do. Tip O'Neill, I like to throw in a quote from a Democrat every once in a while. Tip O'Neill said, all politics is local. So what can you do? Join your local Tea Party group. There are Tea Party groups, affiliated groups with the Morristown Tea Party at tents all around the green. Lake Hopatcong, I see. Basking Ridge, I know, is here. There are a number of others, and our Director of Communications, Nick Rago, will speak about the groups a little later on. When you join those groups, you can become a precinct leader in your precinct, become a captain. Anybody watch the Kennedy miniseries? First thing Joe Kennedy said in the very first episode was, I want to get hold of those precinct captains in Chicago. I guess he wanted to know how much they needed to be paid. Once that happens, then we can really begin to change things. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. It took decades to get to where we are. It will take decades to turn it around. But you have to remain engaged, focused. Don't burn out on emailing back and forth every day. Today, it's time to get to work. I hope you'll join us and get to work as we move to change the state of New Jersey and the primaries, upcoming primaries, the election in November, and then the big election next year in 2012. Now, our first speaker I'd like to introduce, Dr. Gail Kesselman.